from Microsoft.
So we'll start recording now.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear us okay. I should be able to unmute people, I think. If anybody can type in the chat just that you can hear me all right and see us all, I'd be really grateful. I hope they can type in the chat.
Oh, yeah,
brilliant.
Thank you, John. Thanks, Adam. Thank you, Scott.
We're just waiting for a few more people to join. I think there's been some problems with links going into spam boxes for some strange reason. So I'm just messaging people with links to come in. While we're waiting, we can start introducing ourselves, I think. David, do you want to go first?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm David McCauley. I'm the Chief Executive of the British Deer Society. So welcome to the meeting.
Then we've also got Nick Rout from the BDS. Nick.
Hello, yes, I'm Nick Rout, and I do education and training for the Society.
Then we've got another Nick Weir from the Open Food Network. So there's basically we'll say Nick BDS and Nick OFN to distinguish between the two. So Nick Weir.
I'm Nick OFN. Very pleased to see you all. We're very busy building this partnership with the British Deer Society and launching the Wild Venison Network, which you'll hear more about later tonight.
And then there's also Joe from the Open Food Network as well.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Joe De Silva from the Open Food Network. Lovely to see everybody here tonight.
And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Andrea Barden. I work for the British Deer Society in marketing and fundraising and partnerships and all sorts of different areas. So yeah, I'm the one that bothers you with lots of emails and stuff about these things. I'll just give it a few more minutes to see if any more people come through and check that no one else has got a link issue, and then we can get started. So I was going to say, if anybody, the chat's open, so if anybody's got any questions, you can ideally try and put them in the Q&A section. But if you put them in the chat, we'll spot them as well, and we'll try to get back to you as quickly as possible as we go through. I'll do a quick introduction, and then I'm going to hand over to Nick Weir from the Open Food Network, who will explain everything about the Wild Venison Network. I'll give it one more minute or so to make sure no one else has got any link issues coming in. People are starting to join.
As well as putting questions in the Q&A or the chat, we'd also like to hear if there's anything particular you'd like to hear about tonight. Is there anything that you want from this 1 hour session? And just tell us what your interests are, and we'll try our best to make sure we cover that.
I'm not getting any more emails through with link issues, so I think we might be good to go in a minute. I shall keep an eye on emails popping up. But I'll get us started. So we want to start on time. I know it's late and people don't want to be hanging around all evening. So just to explain how this all came about, the British Deer Society as a team had the idea quite a while ago that we'd love at some point to create a website where deer managers and their connections could sell wild venison locally to their local consumer network more easily, and a website facilitating that would be a really good way to go to support that type of way of selling venison. Problem for us is, obviously, as a charity, one is funds and one is capacity. So it was one of those ideas that got put on the back burner a bit until I could hopefully find some funds somewhere. Then Joe from the Open Food Network randomly reached out to us, and it fortunately got forwarded to me. I checked out what the Open Food Network was from Joe's email, realized it was exactly what we'd been thinking about doing, and that they already had all the software and the program enabling people to sell locally from farmers, but it would work for wild venison as well. And our partnership was born, basically, and we decided to just get going and go for it. Now the big thing is we want all of you guys to join us in creating the Wild Venison Network. We need you for it to work, and we hope we can support you to sell more wild venison across the country. So Nick's going to talk you through the Open Food Network and how all their system works and everything. And as I said, if you have any questions as we go through, just pop them in the chat or the Q&A. Yeah, and we'll go from there. Nick, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Andrea, and I'm very, very pleased to be all here. I've got several mates who are deer stalkers, and I enjoy their company very much. So I'm very pleased to have 45 of us here in the room together, and very much looking forward to having an hour with you. I'll talk as briefly as possible about the partnership that we're building with BDS and about the software that we're offering and the mapping facilities and contact details that we're offering to enable this network to happen. As I go through, please do put questions in the chat or in the Q&A. Probably much better in the Q&A, but either's fine. There will also be time at the end for people to unmute and ask questions, but if you can stick them in the chat as they go through, it may be that one of my colleagues can answer the questions in the chat while I'm talking, just to save us a bit of time. So I'm going to share my screen and then I'm going to get started. So if you just bear with me, I'm just going to set that up, and in a moment you will be seeing a map. I'm going to start here actually. The Open Food Network is a global community of food producers of all kinds: farmers, growers, bakers, brewers, deer stalkers, food producers and food enterprises of many different kinds, so online farmers markets, food hubs, farm shops, that kind of thing. And the third part of the online global partnership is software experts. And what we have in common across the producers, the shops and the software experts is a belief that the global food systems are broken and that we need to build alternative food systems from the bottom up. So about 15 years ago, a couple of women in Australia had this idea of building the Open Food Network. We brought this way to the UK about 12 years ago. It's now in 21 different countries. This is what it looks like in the UK. There are several thousand producers. Producers are the tractor symbols here, including several deer stalks already, and also a couple of hundred shops. The shops, as I say, maybe food hubs, maybe online farmers markets, maybe food farm shops, that kind of thing. And we are networking them together so that the producers have as much opportunity to sell direct to the shoppers and the buyers as possible. We're trying to build short food supply networks. So, but as I say, buried within here are several wild venison producers. And what we've done is we've created this little map that shows the Wild Venison Network. It shows, there's a tab on the map that shows the names of those producers. There's a little bit of a write-up about how the Wild Venison Network works. And what I'm going to do is just talk you through briefly the process of becoming part of this network. The very first and the most simple way of becoming part of this network is just to become just to list yourself. We need you to agree to the standards of the Wild Venison Network, and we're going to put those up in the chat so you can see what the standards are. But if you're happy to agree to those standards, then you can create a profile yourself on the Open Food Network, and you can then appear on the map. And that level of offering is completely free. What you'll notice is that if we go to this one, you can put in as much detail as you like about yourself and about your stalking practices. If you've got email, you can put that in there. If you want your phone number to be visible, you can do that. There's another one here, I think, that's got, I think this one might have, oh no, these don't have, if you do have a Facebook or an Instagram page, then you can put that on there as well. But basically, it's a way of listing your stuff. It's a way of saying, I'm here, I'm providing wild venison, and I'm interested in finding buyers. We will then promote this map in various ways. We'll promote it on our social media channels. We'll also promote this map to all of the shops that are already on the Open Food Network and encourage them to link up with you and sell your venison through their shops. So that's free. That's completely free. All we ask from you is that you give us your contact details, you read and agree to the standard which we're about to put up. It may be that you've already got your own shop. If you have, then you can put your web link on the map, and you can direct people to your own shop. If you don't already have your own shop and you'd like to have your own shop, then on top of setting up your profile and putting up your contact details, you could do something like this. So this is a stalker living locally to me in Gloucestershire, and he is putting up his products. He's got various different shanks here. He's giving people a little bit of detail about the shanks and about how to cook them. He's putting up price. He's putting up some details about himself and about how he stalks, and his contact details there. And this is basically just an online shop front. So the shoppers and the buyers have access to this. The link to the shop can be promoted in whatever way you like. And the shoppers just come in here, they add products to their basket, they pay for the product produce, and there's lots of different payment options, including card or invoice or bank transfer or whatever. And then they say how they're going to pick up the product. Some stalkers have people come to their homes to pick up. Some have pickup points. Some have food hubs that distribute for them. So that's one option. As you all know, it's not always possible to have constant supply. So this particular stalker, another one local to me in Stroud, this guy's closed at the moment. He doesn't have any venison available. And if there is no venison available, then there is an automatic message that pops up that you can specify how that reads. So this guy has put up a little bit about why the shop is closed. He's also put up a link to people encouraging them to go to his website and join a mailing list. So that's how that works. So that's two options. If you go for just the profile, just with your details, that's free. If you decide to set up a shop, we will ask you to pay us 2.4% of any of the online sales that you make through our shop. And we will invoice you at the end of each calendar month. So you sell the produce, we keep track of what you're selling. When you get to the end of the month, we will send you an invoice for 2.4% of whatever you've sold. And there is another option, which is that you might want to sell through a food hub. So this is one of the food hubs on the Open Food Network. There's about 120 of them. This one is down in Sussex, and they've got a bit of detail about how they work. And the food hub has multiple producers. It's a bit like a bike wheel with lots of producers. This particular food hub is focused entirely on meat, and it's got 8 different meat producers selling through a single shop front. 2 of those producers are stalkers, Ben Marks and Jody and Daniel Simpson. And if you go to their shop, you'll be able to see that this particular stalker does have venison available at the moment. And you can click here and find out a bit about them and about the way they produce their produce, the way they produce their venison. There's a picture here that it's been a bit badly cropped, but you can actually see a picture of them and a little bit about their their stalking practice. And again, this particular hub is selling boxes. So the previous one we looked at is selling individual joints and pieces, but these guys sell it by box. That's entirely up to you how you want to put the produce up there. The hub will make a markup, so they will charge an additional premium on top of your price. So we, the Open Food Network, won't charge anything if you want to sell through a hub. But if you wanted to sell through a hub, the hub is going to say to you, we are going to add a percentage on top of your selling price. That's how they cover the costs. So that option will involve a markup added on to your selling price. Okay, so I've talked about the 3 different options. The other thing I want to talk to you about briefly is that the Open Food Network is more than just a piece of software. It's also a network of resources, and there's various different things on our resources tab that you might want to have a look at. And one of them is I've come into the wrong place. Legal regulation, food standards. Here we go. Food safety and labelling. So the whole section in here about standards, and if you click on that, there's a little bit about food safety and labelling, various different top tips about food hygiene and traceability, how to label for allergens and all that sort of stuff. So you're very welcome. This is all open source. This is all free. I want to say briefly that the Open Food Network is not for profit and it is open source, which means that the software is owned and controlled by the people who are using the software. You're probably aware there's lots of different online shop e-commerce products. You might be familiar with Shopify. There's various other ways of selling produce online. Almost all of them are proprietary, which means they're owned and controlled by either an individual or by an organization, which means that organization is in control of the software. They decide the pricing, they decide how it's going to be developed, and if they wanted to, they could sell that software to somebody else. That is not possible with open source software. The open source software is owned and controlled by the people who are using it, and it can never be sold off and taken over. So we're very proud to be open source. So we're putting in the chat the option, if you'd like to join the Venison Network. If you fill in that form, you will be automatically set up with the free service where we put you up there, we put your contact details, you'll then be visible on that map. If you want to, you then have the option to then start to open a shop, and you'll then change from a tractor symbol to a shop symbol. And the shoppers and the buyers can then click on the shop and start to order your venison online. And the third option is that you can link up with any of the open food workshops that are in your area already. The third thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the way to sell is that if you have a look at our map, this main map, where was my main map? If you have a look here and you zoom into your local area, you do that just by typing the name of the town you want to zoom into. You could have a look at who's already in your area and you could start to link up with them. So anybody who's already got a shop in your local area has got the option, if they want to add your venison to their shop. So that's another thing that you might want to do. The other thing is that if you do decide to open your own shop, you could then link to other farmers in your area, either meat farmers or any of the producers. If you want to sell apple juice through your Open Food Network shop, you're very welcome to do that. Some of the stalkers also sell things like charcoal. So if people want to do barbecues with their venison, then they link up with local charcoal producers, and you'll find a few of them on the Open Food Network. Andrea, there were several things that I was supposed to talk about. Please tell me if I've forgotten things. I'm going to stop sharing and see if there's any questions that have come up in the chat, or Andrea, if you think there's something that I should have been talking about that I haven't.
Did you want to go through? You sort of covered the if you were a shopper bit, didn't you? Okay.
That's a really good point. Let me go through and place an order. That's a really good point. So yeah, if there's people here who want to buy venison, then this is how you do it. You go to the Wild Venison Network page, which I'll ask Joe to put a link up to that so you can find that network page. And let's go to who's got, I think it was Eric. Yeah, here we go. So if we decided we did want to buy some of this food from Eric, we would say, okay, let's have a little bit of that fallow and some of these loin steaks. You would then not available from that distributor. Okay, let's not place that order because he hasn't got any stock available. Let's go here instead. Where's my? I seem to have lost. Let me go to Sussex Grazed again. So Sussex Grazed is the hub that we had a look at earlier. And if I go to Sussex Grazed. Sorry, beg your pardon. This is the problem with doing live live demos. Sussex Grazed, Brighton No Food. Here we go. So these guys have their own website, and Sussex Grazed is just a part of what they do. But if we wanted to order, then we could get to that same shop through their website. And okay, where's that venison? Let's buy a venison box instead. We'll add that to our cart. We'll go to the basket and then we'll check out. You can either check out as a guest or sign in. I'm going to sign in with that email address, and it's my name and address from last time. These guys have just one pickup point, but there is the option for you as the manager of your shop to set up multiple shipping points. And if you click on the shipping point, you then get a bit of detail about where the pickup point is. You as the shopper or the buyer can then give special instructions about when you're going to collect or whatever. You then go to payment. These guys got vouchers set up. So if you did want to promote your venison using vouchers, you can use voucher codes. Then if the shopper got a code, that gives them a discount at checkout. This particular shop has only got one payment option, which card details. And like any e-commerce, you just put your card details in there. Some stores will want to bank transfer, some will do invoice, particularly if you're selling to restaurants and cafes and pubs. They may want to have an invoice. That system where you pay on invoice. The other thing to mention is that the Food Network is doing a lot of work on public procurement. So we are setting up links with schools and hospitals and local authorities, many of whom are very interested in buying venison, particularly getting that into schools, and that's happening a lot in Scotland already. So it may be that you want to join the Venison Network and then link up with a hub that is selling into a public sector buyer. In terms of payment methods, the shopper would choose how they want to pay. They'd then see a summary of their order. I haven't put my card number in, blah, blah, blah. Basically, you put your card number in and then you will get a summary of the order. You then click submit. That order would then go through immediately to the shop, and they would get an email notifying the order has come through, and you as shopper would also get an email telling you that your order had been confirmed. Anything else, Andrea, you wanted me to cover?
I think. There we go. There's also the option to add the donation for the BDS.
I've
for
got that
shops
set
as
up as well. Yeah, sorry. Yep. So I have here a link. Let me take you to, I'm just going to open another web page because there's one of the Open Food Network hubs that has already got the donation set up. So let me just.
So this is basically if you guys wanted to set up a shop and you're keen to support the work the British Deer Society is doing, you could add the option to your shop for your customers to add a donation to the BDS on their checkout as well. There's no cost to you at all in doing that, and it basically shows that you're supporting the mission of the BDS at the same time, and it's giving your customers that extra option. And doing that sort of thing in your checkout has actually been shown by quite a lot of research to increase sales. So it's quite a good thing to do from your perspective as well. But I'll let Nick show you the example. Nick, you're on mute, I think.
Sorry, Andrea. Thank you. So yeah, let me go back here. And you can see my screen, Andrea. Yeah. Yeah, it is sharing. So this particular hub has set up the BDS donation button. They've set it up with increments. So you decide how much that you want to do. If you want to be particularly generous, then you can say I want to do multiples of any one of those options. And this money will then go direct to the BDS from the shop, in addition to any venison that's ordered from the shop. Is that okay, Andrea? Is there anything else that I've missed? Thank you for being my memory jogger.
I think that was everything, and we could start covering questions or going over anything that anybody felt wasn't that they want to go over again. I think most people, I'll start in the chat from the top question if you want and read that out. I think Joe's been handling some of them, haven't you, Joe? There's a question from, I guess it's Peter Scott or Scott Peter, sorry if it's the wrong way around. How do small producers grow the venison market outside of the British Quality Wild Venison scheme? I guess I'm just going to assume, Peter, that you're talking about marketing side of things. I can cover some of this from our perspective, and then I'll hand it over to Nick and Joe if they want to add anything. Because I know the Open Food Network, for example, has a lot of marketing resources available on the site to help enterprises grow their business. From the BDS's perspective, once we get more sellers signed up to the network, we're going to be starting to promote it more and more across our communities. It'll be added to our website, so under the special venison section, so people can go straight to the Open Food Network and the Venison Network to find stuff. We're also going to be working with other partners as Eat Wild, Alex Russon from Hunter Gatherer Cooking. We've got a partner in Game Larder as well, and it's just going to be us all promoting together and working together. And long term, we're looking to raise funds to do projects where we're doing outreach with more people. I mean, this is possibly a couple of years down the line, depending when we get the trust and grants. David could probably give some insight on this as well if he wanted to. But it's an area we're definitely pushing and expanding, and having all that seller platform network available is going to make it possible to send people somewhere where they can search very quickly for a provider that's near them and go immediately shopping. We can send them to that one place, all of us together, and everyone will be selling venison across the country. That's the idea. David, did you want to add anything, or Nick?
I'm gonna suggest. I'll simplify what is a very complicated thing, if that's okay with you. There's two elements to venison sales, many more, but just simplifying it. So the British Quality Wild Venison Scheme, we're currently working with them quite rigorously at the minute to try and find a way to get into what they call TUCA, which is the University Catering Organisation. And if we can get that accepted, more buyers, more ADHEs will come on board the scheme. Because once you get into the universities, and if you get into TUCA, you get into every university across the UK, their catering will provide an entry level. But if you do get registered through that scheme, then it opens up government procurement. So the whole idea is that the British Quality Wild Venison Scheme will be a big part of the overall growth of the venison market. And I know it's been a hard slog at the minute, but that's something that we're working with the Exeter University team at the minute to try and get that done. And then you've got this is an option for smaller producers. And the whole idea of this is tonight is the start, and tonight at a starting meeting with 46 people on a Teams meeting, which is actually fascinating because we've also got to record this and send it to other people who couldn't come tonight. This is the start of a process where we hope to produce a role in the market where we start to upscale the market, because I think we've tried for such a long time to sell venison, and there's some successes and there's a lot of hard work being done, but this gives us a one platform, direct everybody to one place to see small producers selling their schemes. And it's not just the producer. The producer can have a shop. The producer can then set up with the like of Sussex Greys. And I think this will build and build. But as Andrea says, there's two things that we have to find. This is a 2 to 5 year plan. It's not something that's going to happen instantly, although it will start immediately to show, I think, a difference. With 70k coming through the market in the UK in February, that's an amazing figure, and we can only just push that up and push that up. But over the next few years, we'll be looking to find funding, and the more funding we can find, then the more we can actually produce a bigger venison market. I think the first thing we have to acknowledge, and I'm not from the venison background, I am from a retail background many years ago, is that venison isn't a substitute for pork, lamb, and beef. Venison is something we have to promote as venison. And wild venison is probably the most healthy, free-range meat that you will get. And that's the sort of marketing that we're going to have to do in the back of this. So this tonight is the start of something that we think will grow and grow and grow. And I'm being introduced to this tonight, although I've had interactions with the team. I'm actually coming and listening to this for the first time. And I think Andrea and I will be pushing this at the Stalking Show, and we'll probably produce it around all the game fairs and the shows, just to make sure that we get behind this, because our members, for the most part, who are stalkers, are asking us to find a way to open the market up. So we can't ignore that. We have to do that, which is why we're working here tonight. Okay.
And I'd just add, I look at it also from the shopper's perspective. If I'm somebody local wanting to buy local venison, I just want to come to a website, search in my local area, and find that venison straight away from somebody that I know is good and reliable, and I can just buy it quickly online after searching for a postcode or similar like that. That's what the Open Food Network offers. And the more venison providers that sign up to the network means the more shoppers will keep coming and being able to find that local venison. So we need to all work together to create that network and that community to sell locally. So I hope it's something you're going to get as excited about as we are, and shout about it to other local providers as well, because the more of us are there, the more people selling, the more the consumers able to see and buy in one place really easily. That's the key thing. And I don't know if Nick and Joe or anybody else wants to add anything from our side.
just to add it, that as Andrew was saying, that map, the more people that are on that map, the more all of us sell, because that map will, if it's very well populated, it's going to get used more and more and more. So please do stick yourself up on that map. You can do that by filling in the registration form. There's no cost to you at all to do that. and the more dots we have on that map, the more effective it's going to be. And as well as what Andrew was just saying about your shoppers finding you, I want to just build on the point David was making about increasing sales. The Open Food Network is doing a lot of work at the moment on this public procurement project. We are very focused on building links between big public sector buyers who are wanting to buy large quantities of produce, including meat and specifically including venison. The way the Open Food Network works is by joining together and creating networks of producers. So it's likely that there's nobody on this call individually who would be able to sell to a school, because you cannot produce the consistent quantities of venison needed to fulfill a public sector contract. But increasing numbers of Open Food Network hubs are taking on those contracts with public sector buyers, because if they get an order in for 20 kilos of venison and they need to do that 20 kilos of venison every week, if they can connect with 10 or 15 local stalkers, and those stalkers between them can cover that 20 kilos of venison every week, then everybody benefits. The school gets to buy the venison it needs, the hub gets to have that contract, and each of you starts to sell into these public sector contracts through the hub. Let me just briefly show you the resources that Andrea was just talking about. If I do my screen again, and I'm going to take you to this resources page. So again, it's openfoodnetwork.org.uk, and then again, I'll ask Joe to stick up the link to this in the chat. You come to the About page, and you come to resources, and then you come to marketing tips and resources. There's a lot of information here about how to build customer relationships, how to build a loyal customer base around your online shopfront. Some of these are blog posts, some of them are webinars recorded that you can look through. And building a social media following around your Open Food Network shopfront is definitely the way to go. And Joe is part of the Open Food Network team that is also doing regular social media posts. So if you've got a story you want us to post, or you'd like us to promote you, please do get in touch. We'll promote you through our social media. Any other questions or anything that Joe might want to add to what I've just said?
I'll go to the next question on the chat if you want.
Great.
Alex Forster said, would be good to hear about any funding for equipment, example, chillers, infrastructure improvements. I would love to hear about that too, Alex. Basically, I'm the fundraiser for the BDS, so I'm always constantly on the lookout for things. As part of the Venison Network, if we come across stuff, we can share it with you immediately if it's going to benefit you. That's also going to be an added benefit of the network. If you see something that benefits us all, share it and get it spread between us. At the minute, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. David, again, I don't know if you can.
What I would say is that I said at High Wheel when I was answering a question a few weeks ago, that individually you will struggle to get funding from government for things like chillers, etc. But as a partnership, if we go to government, and there's very little money in government at the minute, but one of our members in Scotland did get some money for chillers. I mean, as a partnership, we're happy to approach DEFRA and ask for some funding, because the government are currently pushing for regeneration and countryside regeneration, and obviously deer need to be culled. So chillers are a big problem. We'll just keep pushing that door, but as a partnership, we will have a much stronger voice to push that door.
I'm just going to unmute Juan because he put his hand up. So I'm just wondering is it Juan? Sorry if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. I should unmute you, hopefully. You can you should be able to talk now. Has he got his hand up? No.
Juan, you might need to unmute yourself. So if you just move up to the microphone tag in the top right and click on the microphone tag. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, got you.
Did you have a question, Juan? No? If not, I'll carry on to the next question. If not.
There's a hand up, Angela, from SP.
Oh.
Simon Parsons.
Simon, I'll assume it's on this topic. I've allowed your mic, so if you you unmute your mic, you should be able to ask a question. Simon Parsons? No? You've got to press unmute on your mic. Okay, we might go back to the chat. I think it's working better in the chat, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was that question. Hold on. If you guys, if you ask the questions in the chat, I'll get down to it. I'm working down the list. Eden Phillips. I work in a deer park, not a venison farm, but we do managed cull. We are now trialing selling venison through a licensed vendor. I wonder if this will be another useful way of increasing venison to the public. I realise not wild as such, although our deer are free range within a fenced acreage. We will be selling frozen from the park. I spoke briefly about this with Open Food Network. Basically for farm deer, I understood that you can sell on the main Open Food Network, but it wouldn't be classed as part of the Wild Venison Network for farmed deer.
But it could.
Andrea, can I just jump in there because
It's going to be
park deer are classified as wild deer.
As wild.
They're not treated in the same way as farm deer, so in my mind it would fit in very well. It's just to me it would be another mechanism to help improve their marketplace, and that should, anything that's going to improve your marketplace has got to be a good thing.
So if Nick's happy with it, because Nick's helping on the standards, then we can add it to the standards and get it added in on that, I think then. Yeah, Nick?
Well, they're fundamentally they're treated as wild deer.
As wild. Okay, that's fine.
I think Simon's going to ask a question.
Simon, I'll try and write.
I've unmuted. There you go. There it is.
Sorry. Simon, if you unmute your mic, you should be able to speak now.
Hello, good evening, Andrea. Thank you very much. I dropped a message in the Q&A section as opposed to the chat. I was hoping it wasn't going to get overlooked. So it was more of a legislative query. I'm a sole stalker, and I've got the option of buying in many more carcasses from fellow stalkers across the same estate. And my main concern is I'd like to avoid AGHE or approved game handling establishment legislation due to the costs, which will make my small business untenable. Further detail is in the question under the Q&A section. I'm hoping you might be able to help.
Right, I can probably put you right on this one. The bottom line is you can't buy in venison from other people to resell unless you are an AGHE.
Gotcha. That's absolutely clear. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but the way we operate in the venison industry is that it's defined through the Food Standards Agency that you can handle small quantities, and small quantities is defined by how much you can personally process of your own venison or your group that you go hunting with.
Perfect. So the group I go hunting with, say, for example, if I don't shoot that week, but I take someone out to shoot, and I'm dealing with very small figures that week, 1s, 2s, maybe maximum of 5. However, I'm not personally shooting them, but they are part of the same estate.
Yeah, you are responsible for the shooting of them. You're taking the person out. It's part of your shooting group. So you can still put that venison in through your little business.
Gotcha. So if it's part of my shooting group, but I'm still paying the stalker to buy the carcass off him at the end of the day, does that transaction blur the lines between
the transaction? The transaction is what will make it messy. The best thing to do is have a look at the Food Standards Agency Wild Game Guide. There's a whole section in there which clearly defines exactly what you can and can't do and what you're allowed to do.
Gotcha. I'll probably go back to it again. I've had a trawl through it, and it talks about estates or people sourcing the game off an area of land, and they seem to amalgamate it on as being attributable to a single individual. But the thing is, I'm blowing the lines a bit, or potentially thinking of blowing the lines, whereby I might be buying venison from people I take out.
Yeah, the best thing to do is probably reach out to me via email offline, and we'll touch base on this, and I'm happy to have a conversation with you about it.
Perfect. Cheers, Nick. Thank you very much for your help. I'll reach out to you, mate.
Oh, hold on. Right, I'll go back to the. I think there's no other questions in that one, so. Sorry, my computer's a bit slow. Loaded the chat. And scroll up. I'm trying to make sure I haven't missed anybody. So Alex also asked what kind of volume of sales go through the website monthly. Joe, did you just want to talk about that to everybody?
Yeah, so there was just a bit of conversation going on in the chat. So in February 25, there was about £70,000 worth of sales going through the Open Food Network UK. I think that links with another question that came further down, so it might be worth us jumping around and answering that. So then Tom Chef's Farm said, is the website traffic data available for shop owners who want to target products to areas, people, groups, etc.? Nick, OFN, do you want to say something about that?
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, great question. So yes, you will, if you set up a shop on the Open Food Network, you will own all of the data that comes through your shop. So you will have access to all the customer records, so that you will keep, if you choose to collect that data, there is not one to allow guest checkout, but most of the shops on the Open Food Network will ask people to register when they buy, which means that you then do have access to their address, their contact details, so you can then send emails out to people. If you have venison available, if you have a carcass that's just coming in, you can send out an email to people, tell them that the produce is available. You also have a complete historical record of everything that's sold through your shop, in terms of the quantities sold, the price that you sold at, how the product was paid for, where it was shipped to, and the names and contact details of everybody who bought the produce. And in terms of GDPR, you are the owner of that data. So yes, you can use that however you like. I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, please put another question in the chat.
Then the next one was RFBS Limited. This is covering the part deer as well. I think we covered that, so we're going to add it into the standards to make it clearer that part deer can be included as well. So I hope that's okay for you. And did we cover it? Just shout me if I'm covering the same question, because I don't want to leave my place on the screen. Is there a rating system for suppliers, and how are disputes resolved if they occur? Nick and Joe. Yeah.
So the rating system is that in order for you to join the Wild Venison Network, we do need you to agree to the standards. We'll put the standards in the chat again there, and that includes being registered with your local food standards agency. If there are disputes, then there are various levels to that. We encourage anybody who makes a complaint to go to the person who they have the complaint with, which is likely to be the person selling that produce. If that can be resolved at a local level, then it can be escalated to the national level. And the Open Food Network does have a team of people who are responsible for managing and maintaining the website, paying the server fees, that sort of thing. And we will intervene, and we will offer support to resolve that conflict. If we find that the person who's using the Open Food Network software is in contravention of our terms and conditions, then we do have the option to take them off the the platform. We've only done that once in the whole 12 years that we've been trading. Normally, we can resolve those issues.
Just skipping past Joe's comments. You covered the website traffic data.
My only other point about the rating system is that because you're a producer of game meat as opposed to just a carcass in the skin, you've actually got to be registered as a producer with your local authority. You will get a 1 for 5 stars as a food rating. So that is part of the process of being involved in this, because if you're going to process, you've got to do it legally, you've got to do it right. So you will get a food rating from your local authority.
Then David, there's a chat message for you from Tom Chefs as well about public procurement contracts. So you have to get in touch with us, Tom Chefs. After that, I saw that they had answered that.
I've given
Sorry,
Tom
I've seen
my
that
email
now.
address. Yeah.
I'm scrolling down as we go.
There's one there from Peter Scott again about volumes, and the answer to your question is yes, of course. You can just set up on our map and put your contact details up there, and if you want to, as part of your contact details, you can link them to a website or get them to link to a form where people can give you their email address, and then you can put up your current stock list as a PDF, as you're suggesting. So it's not necessary to set up shop with the Open Food Network. If you've got other ways of selling, please do just put yourself on the map and sell in whichever way is best for you. And then there's one from Steve Trippett about e-commerce and card payments. There are various options in terms of card payments. We've got payment gateways with PayPal and with Stripe, and with both of those options, there will be card transaction fees. PayPal is about 4%, so any payments that you take using the PayPal payment method, you'll pay 4% of that to PayPal, and that's on top of the 2.4% coming to the Open Food Network. If you use Stripe, you'll be paying 1.4% plus 20 per transaction on top of your Open Food Network fees. So yes, card payments will attract a transaction fee.
Then David Price just asked in the Q&A, how do I register to sell my venison? We'll put the seller form in Joe will put that in the main chat now, David. And you basically complete that form, and then the process starts from there. And it's really simple, basically. Has anybody got any other questions? You can put your hand up if you want, and I can unmute you so you can chat if you prefer as well. Other than that, I think that we've covered everything then, if no one else has any other questions.
It's worth saying that I think all of us, certainly most of us on this call, the presenters will be at the Stalking Show, so please come and talk to us there if you'd like to. And there will be paper forms, so paper versions of that online form that Joe's just posted. If you'd rather fill it in person on paper, then come and see me on the Open Food Network stall at the Stalking Show. Oh, a question from Tony.
There's also one from Steve Trippett. So I'm a VAT registered company. Is VAT chargeable on venison?
I don't think so. Nope.
No,
Nick's shaking
not.
his head as well.
Nick,
No,
yeah, Nick's shaking his head.
Yeah, very little food is VAT registered, and venison is not. So that's 0 rated for VAT. And then Tony joined the call late and is asking for the costs of joining the Wild Venison Network. So Tony, there's no cost at all to join the network if all you want to do is put your contact details up. And that's what most people are doing, is just putting the contact details there and waiting for people to come and find them on the map, which we are going to be promoting widely. If you want, as well as having your contact details on the map, if you also want to set up shop and use the Open Food Network to set up an online shop to sell your venison, then the Open Food Network will be asking you for 2.4% of your online sales through the Open Food Network, and we'll do that monthly in arrears at the end of every month. And the third option is that you could sell your venison through one of the existing Open Food Network shops. There's no cost to you from the Open Food Network to do that, but if you're selling through somebody else's shop, then they will be likely to make a markup on your produce. So if you're selling a venison box for £60, they will possibly be making a 15-20% markup on the cost of that box, which they will charge to the shopper or the buyer. But we, Open Food Network, won't be charging you if you're selling through somebody else's shop. So yeah, no cost joining the network, but if you want to join the network and then set up a shop, it's 2.4%.
Okay, I'd just like to add that I am a deer stalker. I go out, I actually do shoot deer. I've actually got a food business. To me, I'm going to look at this as just another way, another route of making my market bigger. It will help me sell venison. If I don't sell venison, it's not going to cost me anything because it's a small percentage of whatever I do sell. So if I don't sell anything through it, it's not costing me money, which is an absolutely great option. I see it as a comment there, the BQWV scheme. Do you know what? That's got a place in the market as well. We're all about trying to get as many options available, as many options going for the whole industry. And BQWV has got a place. It is AGHE based. It works better for those people who are looking at bigger markets. It's just another way of doing things. So the more of these little things that we can get up and going, and the more we can interact with people, it's going to bring us a better marketplace. Even if it's only a little bit of turnover every year, between all of us, a little bit of turnover can add up to an awful lot, and it makes it a better place for all of us.
And just to repeat, like, I come from a slightly different perspective that's on the shopper focused side. And for me, if someone's asking me, where can I buy wild venison? It's so much easier to just say this one place now. Wherever you are in the country, head to the Open Food Network, check the map, find your local dealer, buy it locally. If we all start doing that and promoting that message, it's going to work. I really believe in that. And we can really create something quite amazing. And sorry if you can hear my dog yawning in the background behind me.
And just to build on Andrea's point there, that is our experience with the Open Food Network generally, that the more people who are part of the network, richer the network is, and the more everyone benefits. That map I showed earlier, there are thousands of farmers, growers, bakers, brewers, bottlers, stalkers, farmers on the Open Food Network. And because that network is so rich, everybody is benefiting from that, because there is this nationwide network, interconnected, so that people can link to each other and promote each other. And we hope that this Wild Venison Network will do the same for all of you. Let's get as many dots on that map as possible. There's no cost at all for registering on the map.
I'd just like to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for coming. Thanks for attending. And thank you for the positive comments down the inbox. Really, really good to read. And I honestly look forward to seeing you all at the Stalking Show. If you can come, please do come and visit us. And if you're even coming from the Republic of Ireland, I can see the Irish Deer Commission there. Please do come and speak to us, because we're all about trying to help you sell your product and promote venison across the country. Thank you very much, guys.
A final question there about producers and AGHEs. I don't know what an AGHE is.
Game dealer.
Okay, so you're wanting to know how many of those are game dealers. So those, by looking at the map there, you'll be able to see if they are a producer or a shop. The Open Food Network map is not making a distinction between a stalker and a game dealer. You would have to click on each of those to find that. That is something that we could add. We could certainly produce a separate map that had game dealers separate from the stalkers. But really, again, really happy to talk to you about that as an option.
Yeah, just to emphasize, we are starting out on this. We welcome feedback and your thoughts. Drop me or Nick or any of the team an email about it if you've got an idea that you think can work. We're very open to discussing things and adding more improvements. The more the merrier. We'll make it work together. Yeah. So I think we've covered everybody off.
We're finishing 2 minutes early.
Yeah, bid you all a good night. Yeah, and get in touch with us. It's no problem. Just shout out if you want to talk about the network. And we look forward to seeing you all signed up, hopefully, very soon. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Best wishes. Bye-bye.